I'm actually really good at working through disarray and clutter, but it makes it so much harder. Off the top of my head, I count 6 steps to creating artwork. The first is ideas and sketches, followed by work that's actually started and in process. Then there's the work that's in process and not going well, but still has potential. Then there's work that's finished, but on second thought, maybe it's not finished. Then there's the work that actually is finished and how you deal with that. And is that 6? Oh, I know what I left out. There's the work also that's under a deadline for maybe you have an art show coming up and I need to finish it. One of the hardest things about getting started with working in the art world is being overwhelmed. And part of that is just having a mess in your workspace. So today I am going to talk about those 6 steps, and also step 0 is getting a place organized so you can work in it. Once I get started, I just get a lot of painting going. I get really focused, and all of a sudden there's not enough time in the day. I'm out painting, if sometimes painting outside, it's getting dark and I haven't put anything away. I really should put a light outside, but I just keep going, and then actually I will bring a light outside to clean up. Sometimes getting started's just hard, especially when I've finished a show. There's been this intensity about it, other things happen, and sometimes it's hard just to get back to it. Part of it, I think, is having a big mess, which you can see behind me. The goal is to clear all this out, get organized, and set up a table over there. So by the end of this video, the big payoff, if you stick around to the very end, you'll see a table. That's what I'm hoping. May not happen. It's a garage and there's a backyard. I think it's enough to paint without making an excuse for not having the space. Sometimes I think, what would it be like to actually have a lot of space? And where I used to live, I had that. I got a lot of work done specifically because it was easy to move it back and forth, bring something outside to work on, put it back in. When it got dark, I could paint in the studio. Even then, that big space got filled with a lot of things. So it's always an issue, but right now I have storage out of town. It's not convenient, or this is an excuse, but I like to work on a lot of pieces. I like to work on big pieces, and I like to have them out. And it's not as easy here. You have to work through that. That's what I'm thinking about today. I want to touch on the 6 things that I listed at the top of this video. The most important is the idea and the concept. Ideas and sketches. So you have to come up with a concept. You have to decide what you're going to do. And oftentimes it's nice to sketch it out in advance so you have a reference, or you at least have started. I think of those as the same thing, because once you have the idea, you could do the sketch anywhere quickly, or you could just do the sketch in your mind. That's how it works for me. What happened historically is art kind of progressed with artists learning what other artists did and progressing and progressing and progressing from, cave art all the way through until like kind of the 60s when pop art came out. This is just my perception of it. But it seemed then the switch was for the next new thing, the next new conceptual piece and the next new thing. And I think where I want to fit in is, and I know it's old-fashioned, but in the 50s and 60s, before pop art came around, where was art heading? I think we've kind of gone off on this branch into conceptual, which is fine, and I'll let other people do that. There's great artists doing amazing stuff. But I'm interested in going, what would have happened if, modern art kept going? Sometimes I see art that I feel is supposed to be important art, but it doesn't feel important to me. Honestly, it feels stupid. So I like the idea of art being important, but I don't like the idea of it trying to be important. That's a hard puzzle to figure out, and I know it's not for everyone. Once I get a piece going and it's in the process, that's actually the fun part, because you're working on it and it's going, and sometimes if it's working, it's really working, other times it isn't. I like to do representational art. I'm not looking at something and painting it. They're things that are coming out of my mind. And how I like to do it, it's like a little story that is told to me by the piece as it progresses. I like to paint things from my imagination. I like abstracted versions of representational, meaning things. It represents a thing that you can recognize. The next step for me is paintings that I finished it, and sometimes that takes a long time. I have paintings that have been going for many years because they can end up where they're finished or almost finished, but they're not finished. There's still something missing. And because I don't paint photorealism or go, on site and paint the mountains, I'm not being informed, and I'm not getting what's there and then being like, hey, I got it with my own style. Instead, what I'm doing, it all comes from my own style. And hopefully that resonates with people, because it doesn't matter what I think. It's just that if what I've put into it comes back out in some way, and that's what I try to do, and that can take forever. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is I don't have a guide, so I'm not sure. It's not like I think what I'm going to do and then do it. It's an exploration the whole time. Maybe I should do it the other way. Think what I'm going to do some sketches, plan it out, visualize it, and do it. I think it would be 100 times faster. It's not what I've done so far. Under a deadline, this is when I feel like I get some of my best work done, because I have to finish it. There's no way to be lazy about it or put it off. It has to be done, and because it has to be done, it gets done, and then some interesting things happen as a painter. I'm hoping to do a show in a year and a half in summer. That will be summer of 2026. That's just 18 months. I barely have time, if I start now, to put together, and these would be larger size paintings that I'm considering. Yeah, so having a deadline can be a really good thing. This little wire is really a Come here, Pearl. Let's say hi to the camera. I have this little wire going to this microphone. This is Pearl, and she's managed to get tangled in it about 6 times. Okay, are you going to go get tangled up in it again? Huh? Yeah? All right, thank you. So the art that's not going well, that just didn't start out right, got off to a bad start, I feel every canvas I start still has potential. Maybe I should just toss those away. The last part to talk about is work that's finished. And work that is finished actually is a big part of being an artist. It's sort of where a gallery starts. If you think about it, a gallery or a museum works with finished work, and they have whole staffs to deal with that too. What's that word? It's a word that I'm scared of. I don't even like saying. It is administration. To do the administration or the admin or basically all the paperwork, even to know where the painting is stored and to know if it's available, who's bought it, whose collection it is, that's the work of a gallery, but it's also the work of an artist. So when you finish a piece, that's fine if you finish a piece and you have it in your home and everything, but once you've done 500 pieces, that's a lot of work. I think I've painted, well, I know I've sold over 2,000 pieces. And you know what? I probably know where 10% of those are. So yeah, if you have a piece and you're watching this, you can find my email below or in the About section of this and send me a line, and maybe we could get a photo of it so I can document it and know who has it. Thank you for that. As I said, I feel really lucky to have this space. What it really needs is to be cleaned up. I don't think that's going to be overwhelming or too difficult. I just need to not be lazy, get going. Probably by today or latest by tomorrow, we'll have it put together. And the big payoff, as I said before, is going to be to see a table. I'm going to show you the results and hopefully the table in the next 30 seconds of this video. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. I thought this was going to take to the end of the day, or maybe till the end of the next day, to organize this area and put this table here. But it actually took 2 weeks. So I'm not sure what that says about me. I did get a lot of things behind the scene organized, so I feel good about that. I'm ready to move forward on things. I'm not sure if cleaning up half a garage and making a video about it is the best content in the world, but I'm glad I did it to get through it, and I think I learned a lot from making this video. So I hope to continue doing that, making them a little better each time. And anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Brad Nack Videos About Art. Sort of clean.